All right. Hello. Greetings, Earth and Space explorers. Welcome to Doc Waller's Earth and Space Report for Thursday, June 11th, 2020. I'm Dr. Bill Waller, an astronomer, science educator, and communicator, coming to you today from Rockport, Massachusetts. These Earth and Space reports are intended to engage and inform people like you who are curious about Earth as a planet, who care about our human relations with Earth as our planetary home, and who wonder about the greater cosmos and our place in space. Today, I'm pleased to feature Rhiannon Hurst, a student at Rockport High School who has been very busy working on both terrestrial and more ethereal matters. Her terrestrial project is a biodigester experiment. Let me say that again, biodigester experiment, which she has been running for more than 2 years. And her more ethereal projects pertain to the musical studies and performances that she has been pursuing for several years. As you can see, Rhiannon and I are joined by other members of the Rockport High School Science Club. So glad you could come. First, Rhiannon and I will chat for a short bit, then she will show some pictures of her biodigester, describe what it does and what she has learned from her experiments with it. So welcome, Rhiannon. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
All right. So let's learn a little bit about you. I know that you are a junior at Rockport High School, a rising senior, and you've been going to the Rockport schools pretty much all your life. Is that correct?
Yes, since third grade.
Mm-hmm. And when did you, I know you have a very musical family. When did you start playing a part as a musical family member?
It kind of started ever since I was, basically since I was born, because between my older sister, there's a 10-year age gap, and between me and my older brother, there's a 6-year age gap. So no matter, even when I came into this world, there was already music being created. So it was kind of just right away.
Mm. And now your sister has gone on to have a profession in music. Is that correct?
Yes, she is a professional teacher and musician, but she's also getting her PhD right now in Bristol in medieval musicology and art history.
And that's Bristol, England, right?
Bristol, yeah, UK.
And medieval musicology, is that what you said?
Medieval musicology and art history, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah. This is after her 2 masters that she has gotten before, one at Cambridge in the UK and then in St. Andrews in the UK.
Mm. And then your brother has been doing a lot of music, but he's forging ahead with a more medical profession. Is that correct?
Yes. So he graduated from Williams College a year ago, and this past year, unfortunately, had to come home due to COVID-19. But this past year, he was doing a research program at St. Andrews, where he got a full scholarship he got the St. Andrews scholarship to go there to be fully funded so that he could do research in it's something very complicated. I know it has to do with the heart.
Okay.
And electrophysiology with the heart is what I know.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. And so I know that you are now pursuing music with a vengeance. And that gets you doing a lot of virtual classes. Is that correct?
Yes.
And where do you do that?
I do 6 hours of classes every Saturday at New England Conservatory.
Mm-hmm.
So I take jazz theory, then jazz history, then jazz styles and analysis. Then I take jazz lessons as well as jazz ensembles.
So you are an amazing example of someone who has far-ranging interests, not just in music, but also in science. And you pursued your science pretty much on your own. I know you're going to be showing a lot of slides, so I don't want to preempt them, but this all began, the biodigester work began how many years ago? Really?
So it began in freshman year. I first found my love for biotech when I went to the Biotech Academy with John Doyle. And it was out of that that I became interested in the greenhouse and then the biodigester. And it's been going since 2017, my freshman year.
Well, that's really awesome. Uh, and I think it's a wonderful example for others out there who just can't figure out what they want to do with themselves. Why not do everything? Why not do both? So, uh, so are you ready to share your slides?
Yeah, I'd love to.
Okay,
So I'll share screen if it'll allow me to.
it should.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Hello. It'll let me. Oh, cancel.
There we go.
Okay.
And so I already saw that it says RPS, and that refers to Rockport Public Schools, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
So should I just go for it?
go for it.
Awesome. Okay. So today I'm going to be talking about the Rockport Public Schools greenhouse biodigester. So how I found the biodigester and got interested in it. So we were looking for an eco-friendly way to help heat the greenhouse, but we had to keep in mind that there were requirements and restrictions within the greenhouse because there are many plant beds and hydroponic systems. So we knew that there was definitely space restrictions. So because of that, we knew we wouldn't be able to heat all of the greenhouse, but we knew we'd be able to assist in the heating of the greenhouse.
Okay.
So apparently it's not changing slides.
Spacebar?
Hmm.
Reload?
I guess it is somewhat glitching out, I guess.
You could try reloading.
Yeah. It's not letting me exit.
Well, tell you what, I will pause the recording.
Here, 1 second.
Okay. I got it going.
Awesome. So Sam Crocker and myself applied for the Awesome Rockport Micro Grant in 2017. We applied for the first semester competition, but unfortunately the first semester micro grant competition didn't happen. So we were automatically put into the pool for the second semester micro grant competition. And unfortunately, Sam couldn't make it to the competition night, but I was able to. And as you can see on the right, this is me being very happy after winning the $1,000 grant. And it's in a little plastic baggie with the Awesome Rockport sticker on it, and it's 50 $20 bills. So yes. So I'm just going to give a brief overview how the biodigester works. So it is taking any biomass food waste and it turns it into methane gas. So this feedstock or biomass could be anything like kitchen foods, kitchen scraps. It can't be meats, but it can be anything plant-based. It could be cow or horse manure, and it could be grass clippings. But one thing you have to make sure to do before you put it into the biodigester is you have to cut it 50-50 with water so it can go through the first stage of hydrolysis, which I'll talk about in the next slide. So there are 4 main stages. There is hydrolysis, and then there is 3 bacterial phases. Hydrolysis breaks down the cell walls of the feedstock, and then it goes to the acetogenic bacteria, acetogenic bacteria, and then methanogenic bacteria, where it ends up becoming 60% methane and 40% CO2. But then there is also a byproduct of fertilizer. This byproduct of fertilizer has been used to help fertilize the plants in the greenhouse. We've also sold it at the farmer's market in downtown Rockport, and I am going to be talking about fertilizer later in my presentation because I've used it for experiments as well. So setting it up in summer 2018 is awesome. As you can see here, this is myself, then there's Molly Timmons and Madeline Dixon, who's on this call. And
Can I ask, where did you get your biodigester?
Oh yes, I was going to go into that.
Okay.
But I, the biodigester, we got it from is the first home biogas system to be sent to the United States from Israel. It's from Israel. So it's quite a long process to set up the biodigester. It was about a 90-degree day outside, which meant it was probably around, 100 degrees within the greenhouse. But we were at it for about 5 to 7 hours. But as you can see, we were determined to get it done. And in the bottom right-hand corner, you can see me being very happy that it is finally finished. Okay, so my initial questions. So my first question was, how do the environmental factors of outdoor temperature and solar irradiance affect the performance of a biodigester in a greenhouse setting? So I did this for the Junior Science and Humanities project for 2019, and I also presented it at the Sigma Psi Symposium this year in 2020. As you can see in these photos, these are readings of the internal pH of the biodigester as well as the temperature. So I would either go in on a daily, or other members of and other teammates of the Biodigester Club would go in and take the readings as well. So here are some pictures of my poster board from Junior Science and Humanities of the graphs I have here. So as you can see, the blue line is the biodigester's internal temperature. The red line is the pH level. The green line is the outside temperature. And the purple line is the solar irradiance. In the lower left-hand corner and the upper right-hand corner are pictures of the correlation on a daily basis between the temperatures, pH, and the solar irradiance. And on the lower right-hand corner is just a list of the dates, times, and all of the temperatures, pH, and solar irradiance levels. So I am going to read my conclusion that I got after analyzing all of my test results. So after analyzing my test results, I have come to the conclusion that the outdoor temperature does greatly affect the temperature and pH level inside the digester. There is a lower positive correlation over the 4 weeks of research between the daily internal temperature of the biodigester and the daily outdoor temperature outside the greenhouse. However, there is a strong positive correlation between the outside temperature and the internal temperature of the biodigester after 1 to 2 days. This is due to the fact that in order for the outside temperature to affect the biodigester, it must first affect the greenhouse temperature and then the biodigester, resulting in a delayed effect. This is because it takes a while to affect the 275-gallon biomass container. The biodigester's temperature did vary in accordance to the outside temperature as a delayed response. With that being said, the outdoor temperature affecting the biodigester's temperature automatically changes the pH level inside the unit. The temperature affects how fast the bacteria works in the biodigester, and if it is colder out, the bacteria works slower, therefore making inside the unit more acidic. So that was my first question. And now here are my newer questions. So I was wondering, how do different dilution levels of biodigester fertilizer affect growth rates for vegetables? And what is the heat capacity and burner efficiency of the biodigester's methane burner? And I did this for the Junior Science and Humanities Symposium this year. Unfortunately, it didn't happen due to COVID-19, but I am still running experiments. So as you can see, I just want to look at the photos at the bottom of the page right now. The biodigester is really enjoying quarantine, like a lot. At the bottom left-hand corner, it is at maximum capacity with all of the methane. And as you follow the photos along going to your right, you can see that there is an increasing divot, and that's because we are burning off the methane gas. And this was taken May 31st, 2020, so we're still at it during this entire crazy COVID time. Oh, now it's not going again.
Okay, I'll pause again, resume.
Awesome. So this was the second part of my experiment, which is seeing how the different dilutions of fertilizer affect the plant growth rate, especially in the germination phase. So I had many different levels of dilution. I had purely water, then I had 1 part fertilizer to 7 parts water, then 1 to 5, and then 1 to 4. So I have been measuring that, and I do have all my data. I just have to type up my results, and I will be presenting that next year for my junior science and humanities project.
Fantastic.
And here are some photos of the heat burner in action. As you can see here, there's lots of steam coming off, evaporation coming off on the left photo. And on the right photo, you can see that it is boiling and bubbling away. I have been running experiments to see, I'm comparing how long it takes for this methane burner to boil off 1 cup of water. And I'm also doing a thermodynamic model of the heat loss and transfer, which is convection, conduction, and evaporation. So here is a video of me being very excited that the biodigester is, the methane part is finally working. Unfortunately, we were given a faulty part. So, and it took a long while to figure out what part was faulty due to the language barrier, the time difference, and long email correspondences. But finally, we got the right part. And as soon as we installed it, everything started working like a charm. And so this is me being very excited that it's finally working. Ooh. Could you hear it by any chance?
I didn't hear anything.
You didn't hear anything?
No. Is there something I have to do? That sounded good.
We're here in the greenhouse with the biodigester, and
Needs to be buffered.
I guess so. Okay.
All right, we're here in the greenhouse with the biodigester, and we have.
Yeah, I guess it's not working.
Okay.
I'll just say what happened. Basically, I was very excited because it is finally working. We have the flame going, and soon the water will be boiling, is basically what I express in this video, because it does not want to load.
Will you be able to determine how many burners you would need to heat the greenhouse in the wintertime?
To thoroughly heat it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it also depends on the different like the different temperatures outside, of course.
Sure.
But for different seasons, it'll take different amounts. But I did do, for my initial investigation to see what kind of system would work best, I did do a model of the entire greenhouse, because we were able to get the footprints from Mr. Lebo and got all of the measurements so that we knew the heat loss through the glass and everything like that. It would be, to thoroughly heat the greenhouse, it would probably take around 3 of these, but they would have to be constantly be running and constantly fed and everything like that. So it could take 2 to 3 of them, but because there's limited space, unfortunately, we won't ever be able to do that in the greenhouse. But we will be able to help, which is nice. And so I just really want to quickly say thank you for your attention, and thank you for everybody who's been a part of the Biodigester Club and team. And thank you for everybody who supported me through this long journey and this continuous journey. And yeah, I'm excited for next year, for when we can actually work on this again in person. Thank you.
All right. I guess you could stop sharing the screen.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Okay.
So given the successes and partial successes that you've had, what would you say is the greatest success? Would it be the production of fertilizer, or the production of methane for heating the greenhouse?
Definitely the production of methane for heating the greenhouse. The fertilizer has been great. It's been awesome to be able to run experiments on it, and also to be able to sell it to the community. And we reuse old plastic water bottles, collect them from trash and everything like that, and that's what we use to distribute the fertilizer, which is a very nice recycling. But I would definitely say that the methane is probably the best, because we will be able to like reduce the school's heating bill for the greenhouse, because we'll be able to assist in the heating.
Okay. Good. Would each of the burners require their own biodigester?
They would.
Okay.
You could have two burners coming out of the same thing. However, that's not possible for the system, because there isn't a way to have a second one coming out of that same system. You'd have to get another one. But you could technically have two burners coming out of it, but you would blow through the gas very, very quickly because of that.
Okay.
And that might be a little bit risky, because of different pressures going through the different tubes. That might cause a couple of problems, but it could potentially work. But I would say having two separate biodigesters would be best, because then you would have an equal amount of gas in each. So therefore you'd have a double whammy. So you'd have double the amount of heat.
Okay, good. And so you have another year of high school where you're going to continue this project, is that correct?
Yes.
And follow, what do you think you're going to focus on for this coming year?
So this year I'm going to be continuing with the heat loss and the thermodynamic and everything like that. I'm still running experiments, because I want as much data as possible, especially through I've done it through many different months. So to see how that actually affects, I have to take that into consideration, especially like the temperature within the greenhouse, and even like the solar radiance when heating the pan. So I'm going to continue with that project, because that does help with the evaporation process. So therefore the getting rid of the water and how fast it goes away. So I'm definitely going to be continuing with that experiment.
Okay. And at some point you'll actually graduate.
Yeah. Eventually.
And do you have any thoughts for your postgraduate trajectory?
I know I'm going to college. I would like to go to college. I know that music will definitely be a huge part of my life. I know that for certain. And I am hoping to keep science as a part of my life as well, because it has become a very prominent part through the biodigester and biotech. But I also know that I have an interest in physics as well. So I know it will stay as a prominent part of my life. However, I'm just not quite sure how it's going to look in the future.
Sure.
Yeah.
This is a time to have your eyes open and exploring widely. Yes.
Yeah.
While getting your chops down.
Yeah.
I've run out of questions, so I'm going to open it up to questions from Kat.
Yeah.
I don't know if you answered this in your presentation, but I was wondering, where did you get like the inspiration to do the biodigester, and like how long have you been doing it? I think you said that in the PowerPoint. But
Yeah. No, it's okay.
It like slipped by, like that one thing. I was like, wait, what'd she say?
Yeah, no, I got you. I would say I've been doing it since 2017. So since my freshman year is when I first got interested in the biodigester. I first got really interested in biotech after doing the Biotech Academy, the fish fraud forensics. But I was really excited when I saw that there was a greenhouse in like at our school, because for me that was like really awesome. That was really cool. But to the biodigester portion, I just wanted to find a way to something that is good for our environment, but also will help the greenhouse. And that was like my really vague start. Is like I wasn't quite sure what I was like, something eco-friendly to help the greenhouse. What could we do? And I was like, oh, heating it. That's probably helpful, because winter months. And then that's when I went through looking at different systems, and then having to take the restrictions and everything like that, and then found the home biogas system.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you for your question.
Any other questions or comments? Nikki?
Could you explain how the bacteria breaks down everything? I know that you touched on that a little bit briefly, but I'd like to know more about the specifics on that.
Yeah, so it's just the different yeah, I did give a general overview of the 4 different stages. So the bacteria just basically I have my old junior science and humanities board like right next to me, and I'm looking at it because it's right there.
There you go.
I'm not sure. Could I share my screen again to go back to that?
Sure.
Okay, that'd be great. Actually, I'm gonna make sure I'm on the right screen in case it decides to not function for me. Okay. Cancel. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Okay, I actually, when I learned about how everything was breaking down, I was actually in biology, which was when we were discussing, this. So actually on the bottom here, you can just see how it goes from carbohydrates, fats and proteins into sugars, fatty acids, and amino acids. This was actually very helpful to me because when Miss Swanson was talking about basically exactly this and all of the digestive tracts and how all these different like things break down, everything like that, I was like, oh my gosh, the biodigester is like a human mouth. And then I realized not quite, but you know, close enough. But these are, I'm not quite sure if you want me to elaborate on them, or you can actually like just it reads how it breaks down. But it's just carbohydrates, fats, proteins turns into that's after the hydrolysis breaks it down into sugars, fatty acids, and amino acids. Then the acetogenesis turns that into carbonic acids and alcohols, and their hydrogen, carbon dioxide, ammonia. And then the acetogenesis breaks it into the hydrogen. I can speak the English language. Thank you. Hydrogen, acetic acid, carbon dioxide, and then the methanogenesis just turns it into the methane and carbon dioxide, which is the final product. But while this is doing everything and turning it through the water, it's turning it into further getting closer and closer into the gaseous stage. While that's happening, it's basically itself, there's nothing inside, it's just magically pushing itself through, which then is how we get the fertilizers, because there is a byproduct to everything. So to turn into gas, there is everything that was left over from that, everything that is still a solid or a liquid, and so that comes out as the fertilizer,
which is nitrogen rich.
Very nitrogen rich. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which of these processes is anaerobic, or is it all anaerobic?
Anaerobic?
Without oxygen.
Without oxygen, I would say, well, technically, oxygen is present during it, during all the processes because of the H2O, because we started off with, started off with 275 gallons of water, and then we went from there. So that water is present, so therefore oxygen is present. However,
it might be bound.
Yeah, it's basically kind of bound into it, but it's bound into it. That's the short. I don't know any other way to say it. It's bounded. It's stuck there.
So, okay, good. Any other questions or comments? Are we good? Okay. Well, I'm just going to thank you, Rhiannon, for a very earthy talk, full of nitrogen-rich nutrients to make our minds grow ever more. And I'm delighted that you were able to be a contributing speaker for the Earth and Space reports. So
thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thanks for coming, guys, gals, and take good care. I'll see you later.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.
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 You.